Hi everyone, thanks for joining us on the Holtecast. Jack Grimsey alongside Robert Lintodd as always, and again following another Villa loss. So Robert, how's it going?
It's going well. Welcome back, Jack.
Yeah, thanks. I know we had Adam on last week trying to get some of our other writers on, kind of feature them a bit. But yeah, anyways, had the Liverpool loss last week. Going to talk about some other stuff. Thanks for your comments. I know I posted something yesterday asking for your questions. We'll get to those, of course, and eventually preview the FA Cup match this weekend against Bournemouth, who are first in the Championship. And we were just talking a little before the show. They can't really be that much worse than being last in the Premier League, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this weekend could be pretty challenging, and it depends on what Paul Lambert puts out there. But it could be a weekend that either just absolutely breaks this team or gives them a little bit of confidence heading into some more tough Premier League matches.
Yeah, and if we can actually score some goals, could be a confidence booster. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I guess let's get back to Liverpool. It was 2-0, but I thought the second half Villa actually played well, and for a brief spell of the game, it really dominated.
yeah, absolutely. And everyone keeps going back to the second half. I think we're sort of underselling the first half too. In the first half, Villa, it looked like they were actually trying to get into the final third. They didn't look like they knew what the hell they were doing once they got there, but it looked like they were actually trying to move that ball into the final third, which was a huge improvement over 2 weeks ago against Leicester.
Yeah, and Barini's goal, that was a pretty good goal. I mean, Okora could have been at fault. It looked like he was playing him offside, though.
Yeah, there was a little bit of miscommunication in the back line there. Because Baker looked like he tried to play him offside. I wasn't really sure what happened there. It was, they scored a decent goal. It's tough to be too mad at that. I don't know. I thought Guzan got beaten a little easily on it, but I mean, what do you do when it's a one-on-one on a break like that?
Yeah, and I mean, if
Or
you,
not a
it's
break.
it's 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 bad with Villa right now. You know, when they concede the first, it's going to be tough for them to get the win.
Yeah, absolutely. There really is sort of a deflating sense right now. Um, the good news is, with the defense the way it is, you're never really going to give in to total collapse at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
most likely not. We haven't seen anything like the 8-0 to Chelsea a couple years ago.
no, the worst they've done this season is give up three, which is not, the worst thing in the universe. If you do that 5 or 6 times a season, you're pretty normal.
Yeah, that's how we actually have a goal difference of just -14 despite having only scored 11.
Yeah, exactly. So the defense did its job. I thought Nathan Baker looked okay. Okora didn't look his best. I'm really thinking there's actually a lot to the Okora Clark pairing.
I think
Uh,
so. I think really they have strengths that play off of each other. You know, Baker's a little better in the air than either of them, but both of them are adequate in the air. Of course, speed as well as his strength, really good. And I think Clark is a bit better tactically than people have given him credit for in the past.
yeah, yeah, I would absolutely agree. And I think Okora's brought out the best in Clark and vice versa. So not having Clark there watered it down a little bit. I don't think it was terrible, though. I still think Nathan Baker, if he starts, it's not a disaster. I still think we're in that position where we have 5 players who, if they get a start at center back, I'm not too panicked.
No, it's not the end of the world with anyone as long as they're healthy. You know, like if anyone's not fully fit, we could be in some troubles, especially if you have to bring in either Loan to center back or Chris Hurd. But
Yeah,
luckily, we haven't really had to see that this year.
yeah. And hopefully, if the injuries start clearing up, we'll never even have to worry about that because we do have 5 first-choice center backs. It's just
Yeah,
it's
whose
easy to
first
forget
position
that.
is essential defender. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that given all the injuries we've had. But assuming those start clearing up a little bit and people are getting less time, there's fewer international breaks. We've got a lot of depth there, so it's not a place we should be worried about. And I think the defense did a fine job. Alan Hutton again looked really good going forward.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sissoko actually did complete a cross. It looked like it was heading for Rosie, and then it drifted over kind of to the right wing and found someone. But yeah, like you're saying, Hutton's been pretty good in all aspects. I think there's no reason to think that Loughton's actually going to even get another chance, especially with the problems he's had in the past with Lambert. It's unfortunate that Bakuna can't get really a spot.
Yeah.
Even if it's not right back, I think he could play somewhere in the midfield or even on the right wing.
Yeah, absolutely. This team is calling out for someone who can create a little bit like Bakuna can. But I don't think it's going to be in right back. You're right, because he's the third choice at right back there. I think Loughton could see some time, maybe if we have a little bit of an FA Cup run. You might see Loughton slot in there at right back. But it's hard to pull Hutton right now because he's really solid in defense. He looks a little inept when he tries to do offense, but unlike most everyone else on the club, he's trying on offense, and so you can't really take him out right now.
No, and he has actually scored. So, but yeah,
He's responsible for 9% of Aston Villa's goals.
That's incredible. That's a pretty high percentage, but you just realize because we've only scored 11 goals. But couple things about the offense. I think Carlos Gil, when he came in, he was really positive. Got a question on Twitter from Graz Mad asking if he had done enough to suggest he's the answer to our attacking problems. I think he's at least part of the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. It worries me making judgments based on 30 minutes. Obviously, because we've seen stuff like, I remember Brett Holman's first match, he looked fantastic, or Tony Moon's first match, he looked fantastic. So 30 minutes worries me a little bit, but he looked absolutely incredible in those 30 minutes that we saw.
Yeah, but I think like Tony Moon, his first match, because we beat Arsenal 3-1, he scored the final goal on it, but without scoring Gil, he was showing that he was creative, getting into the box, playing those quick passes that you'd see a lot more in La Liga than you would in the Premier League, and it's obviously something Villa can use. Playing good triangle balls with the forwards, and he was definitely better than Gabby Agbonlahor, who had 22 touches in 90 minutes, and Gil had like 31 in 30 minutes.
The thing that makes me less worried about judging him based on 30 minutes is the fact that what he showed us is stuff that isn't just flash in the pan type thing. He didn't score. If he scores, we all rave about him and we think he's incredible. What he did was he showed great positioning. He showed great footwork. He showed great ideas as to where to put the ball. That's stuff that you're not going to see disappear. That's the football.
Yeah, that's a fundamental part of his game, exactly.
Exactly. So I feel less worried about judging him. He'll probably have a worse day the next time out because it's hard to get much better than he was. But he's good. He's really good.
Yeah, and for the price that we paid, I think that's what we were talking about. Those are the kind of players that Lambert needs to go in for, like maybe the 4 million range, not the 1 million range.
If he sustains at the level that he played last weekend, he's absolutely a steal for what Lambert paid. He could have paid double and it still would have been worth it if he plays like he did last weekend.
Exactly, and I think, and we got another question actually it was from James Rushton, one of our writers. You have £5 million for your transfer targets. I think if we had $5 million, we'd go in for Scott Sinclair.
Yeah, I think that would be a decent idea at that point. You need someone else on the wings to do what Carlos Gil was doing. And what we saw against Liverpool was the fact that he just entirely opened it up.
Exactly. It's someone who either can stretch the play or create something inside.
Yeah, he's got a deft touch. He can stop the ball on a dime. And he's got enough wherewithal to hold things up for a moment, to let people get up. And that's what we've not been seeing from Gabby or Christian this year.
Yeah, and I think I wrote something about Gabby the other day, how he's just been terrible, and really how he just gives the ball away. He always looks to go 100 miles an hour forward right when he gets the ball, and when you're furthest forward, you don't always need to do that. Of course, there are going to be through balls where you're wanting him to get behind because he's so quick, but even if he does, he hasn't been able to shoot.
Yeah. I wonder if with Gil being able to make these really good passes, if Gabby maybe becomes a little more effective. Since
Yeah,
he's
I think I mean part of it's got to be the service.
Yeah, I mean, since his only real skill at this point is being able to get behind a defender on a through ball, if the through balls are a little better placed, maybe Gabby becomes useful. Then the question becomes, can he actually finish the shot?
Yeah, but better than a goose end punt trying to get him through.
Yeah, absolutely. But back to James's question, 5 million. I think Scott Sinclair would absolutely be a good idea at this point. You need someone else who can hold up play like Heel did against Liverpool on Saturday.
Yeah, and someone else who's going to be able to create.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I know we're bouncing around a lot, but tell me more about Gabby because you've totally lost faith in him, and I find it hard to disagree.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at what he does when he goes out, and it's really just hurting the team. I mean, I think that what we saw maybe a month ago, he didn't track back on defense against Southampton and cost us the goal because he was supposed to be marking the player who scored.
Hmm.
And Vyman hasn't been good this season either, but at least as a sub, I think Vyman can come on and give something. He runs around and I don't know, generally makes a nuisance of himself, but Agbonlahor is similar to Vyman though. Agbonlahor just kind of drifts out of the match, and you're like, what is he even on the pitch? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. He's been an active liability this year. He's bad on defense. He has been wasting his limited chances on offense with that terrible first touch of his. Whereas Andy is just sort of bad this year. He's not a liability bad. He's just bad. And I guess, if you have to pick between the two, take the guy that's not actively hurting you.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I guess like what we were saying with Cleverly, if he was going to be a net neutral, and not either take anything away, but even if he's not giving you anything, that's going to be okay. But I mean,
what about Cleverly? I'm actually a little intrigued about him.
We got a question about him from Wabbit season actually, and he said Tom Cleverley is not an attacking player. Agree, disagree, and he suggested that he'd be a very good center back or left back. I'm not sure if he's strong enough to be a center back, but I don't know. Maybe he could play left wing back or something. I don't know. I don't know about putting him that deep because his tackling skills, he hasn't really shown he'd be a great tackler, and I don't know if he has the strength to be a defender, but he's definitely more of a defensive midfielder, and I know that we've been kind of leaning away from purchasing Cleverly fully. Earlier in the season, we were higher on that, thinking it'd be a good prospect, but lately, I mean, there's just no reason to think he hasn't really shown anything of why we should buy him.
Yeah, he sure as heck isn't worth the $7 million that we would have to pay for him right now.
No, but I think even if we could swap Vlar for him, that wouldn't be the worst deal.
Yeah, I mean, because at this point you're not going to do anything with Vlar, but I don't think you can swap Vlar right now because he's injured. And the whole point of getting Vlar for United would be as injury cover.
Yeah, which that's kind of ironic, but...
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Tom Cleverly is not an attacking player. Adam jokingly said last week that I was sort of falling out of the Tom Cleverly fan club, and I'm starting to think he's right. I mean, I'm not sure if Tom Cleverly is a player who should be starting at this point. He looked miserable against Liverpool. He looked miserable against Leicester. He hasn't done anything lately. It's gone from he's not making mistakes to he's not doing anything, which is not what you want to be seeing out of him.
No, yeah, he had a really poor game, and I mean, Heel wasn't going to make a full debut, but maybe now he can get a full 90 minutes, and if so, maybe that means Cleverly's the one who goes to the bench.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because obviously Sanchez has been amazing lately, and Westwood's not going to be out of there, and you're not kicking Delph out.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a little strange to see Westwood as one of the first people off. The other day. I mean, it ended up working. It wasn't terrible. But I didn't think Westwood was having a terrible match against Liverpool.
No, I think maybe just Westwood sits a little deeper, and we needed to go for it.
Yeah, I think that really could have been
it. Still coming back from injury. recently. I'm not sure he can give you the full 90 yet.
Yeah, no, that
But
makes some sense. I hadn't thought about the previous injury thing. I just don't know about Cleverley anymore. I'm not sold on him. He sure isn't worth $7 million. If we could get him for $3 million at this point, sure. But you're not going to, and so it's not worth it. Just wait till the summer and see if we can get him.
yeah, wait till the summer and try to get him on a free.
Yeah, and if you can't get him, there's loads of other players out there that provide exactly the same thing.
Exactly. So, I mean, not worth any money at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam was right last week. The fan club is disbanded.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at least from my end. I mean, I'm sure there's at least a few other people out there that are okay on Cleverly, but no, I'm done. I'm not seeing it there. I was wrong. I admit.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the season, he showed that he looked like he was going to be a decent player, but I mean,
Yeah.
unless he can rediscover some of that form, no reason to think that. But I guess one more thing on the Liverpool match we'll get back to before we move on. The protest that failed before the game kind of fell flat on its face.
I shouldn't chuckle with such malice, but boy, that made me happy.
Why did it make you so happy?
Because I thought it was an ill-advised protest, and quite honestly, this might get me in Twitter trouble again, but I'm willing to defend this. I thought it was a protest devised by a bunch of people who wanted to bring glory to themselves and attention to themselves. It was a protest, and then everyone started saying, oh no, this is a terrible idea. Oh no, it's not a protest, it's a demonstration. At which point I got told that I didn't know what a protest was because I had never been to Villa Park. So screw those guys, first off. But secondly, it was poorly organized, and it didn't really serve to do anything. As James so eloquently pointed out last week, if you're standing in the concourse waiting to go into the Holte End, you've bought a ticket, and therefore you've already given them your money. The only people you're hurting then are the players, who wouldn't get to see you. And luckily, the fans didn't take part in the protest, by and large.
Yeah, and even though Lambert said not to protest, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do what Lambert says because we want him out. I think that's a good point. I think if you're going to buy the ticket, you might as well go sit there for the full 90.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean,
and support the players because they really need the support.
Yeah, I can see a protest at this point. I am not against the idea of a protest, but buying your ticket and sitting out for 8 minutes doesn't do a damn thing.
Yeah, if you're not going to buy the ticket and you want to show up and sit outside the gates and protest there, I think that could be a good idea. I mean, I don't know.
Just not buy the ticket. That could be good too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not buy the ticket, but still show up and say Lambert out from outside.
Yeah, exactly. There's plenty of things you could do. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like the backpedaling afterwards, at which point the sites that had organized the protest said it was a success, despite the fact that it was obviously empirically an absolute failure. It was a success because it brought media attention to Aston Villa, which is not something anyone needed. Everyone knows we suck.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to talk about protesting because we suck. Everyone already knows that.
Yeah, exactly. It brought media attention. Is there anyone in the media who aren't aware of the fact that Villa are bad?
No.
Yeah, or aware of the fact that Lambert has become stagnant at this club. There's issues at this club. There's no need to bring attention to that. Everybody knows. So you brought attention to a thing that everyone already knew about. You had 20 people, 50 people, 100 people, I don't know, partake in the protest. It was an abject failure, and I'm glad to have seen that.
So, I mean, we know we're not going to get Lambert out.
Exactly, and all the indications are saying that he's further from being out than we even thought. I mean, they're looking at this director of football position now, and he's being consulted heavily in the proceedings. So it's clear that Tom Fox and Randy Lerner want Paul Lambert to be around with this director of football.
And I don't know. I don't think that's the worst thing ever because, as we've seen with some of Lambert's transfers, they've been good. And I don't know how much you can expect someone really to do when they don't have any money to spend on players.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been interesting, and I'll be intrigued to see what this director of football does. If the reports in today's Birmingham Mail are to be believed, the role is going to be less of a transfer czar and more of a Billy Bean statistician kind of person.
So kind of narrowing it down, and then Lambert picks his transfers from.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently doing statistical analysis and looking at the physios and whatnot. So it looks like it's going to be more of a here. Let me take some of this off of your hands. You focus on actual football, and I'll do all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's good.
Yeah, I think so too. I think maybe given the chance to focus on the actual football, Lambert could be better. He hasn't had a full-time assistant manager in about a year now. So he's doing it all, which I'm sure is partially his fault. He could find an assistant. But I think it would be good to give him some help with this.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point.
There's no indication that Lambert is going anywhere. I think absolutely if something just goes to crap and we're mired in the relegation battle and there's literally no way we get out, maybe he gets fired then. But he's got a 4-year contract. He's being consulted in the hiring of this new upper-level position. There's no indication he's going anywhere. So let's accept that and try to figure out what else can happen with this club.
Really, though, even if we go down, I would doubt he gets the axe.
Yeah, because if we go down, we're going to be hurting for money.
Twice, you know.
Yeah, and he's proven he's good at the championship, getting that promotion. And if we go down, we'll be hurting for money. We won't be able to afford terminating that contract at that point.
No, yeah, and I mean, if we go down, like you're saying, there's no money to fire a manager. So why would we spend the money on that when we would definitely need to?
Yeah.
I mean, to get people off the wage bill, you know.
There are definitely times when I want Lambert out. Because
most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time, in fact. Yeah, you're right. I would not mind seeing someone else in there. But you know what? Most of the time there's days when I don't want to wake up and go to work, and yet I have to. There's no point in complaining about that which you cannot change. So I think we need to move on to something else other than just this whole Lambert out thing, because it's clear he's not going out.
Yeah, we're not saying to go support Lambert and try to think he's the best manager or whatever, but I don't know. There's just not a lot that's going to be done. Obviously, the club have shown no willingness to change that. I mean, Lerner obviously isn't a very vocal backer, but he doesn't really do anything. I think part of the reason Lambert got such a long extension was in case new ownership came in and then he'd get a proper buyout.
Yeah, sort of as a reward for.
I think that's kind of fair.
Yeah, as a reward for having to put up with the crap. That's the other thing to bear in mind in all of this. Lambert he has a lot of problems. Again, I think
he's a stopgap though.
Yeah, and I think we're both in the Lambert kind of sucks camp at this point. But given the resources he's had to work with and what Randy Lerner has told him to do, he's done pretty much what he's been asked.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't gotten the club relegated.
Yeah, exactly, and he's run it on a shoestring budget.
Yeah, I mean, if he would have played Grealish, I guess maybe fans would be a bit more happy with him. But I mean, like Alex Carson, one of our writers, is going to have a piece on how Grealish should not, or how the loan's good for him, and not just because he'll be playing 90 minutes every week, because he needs to work on some aspects of his game. So I'm not sure if he'll have that out. Well, maybe for Thursday, same day that we post this, but just be watching for that on the site, as it looks like he's going to be moving to Wolves.
Yeah, because last I saw, Wolves have said they won't be moving for Grealish. Has that re-upped in the past few hours?
Oh, sorry. Well, maybe not then.
Yeah, because yesterday it was something like the Wolves are out on him, but, God only knows with these transfer rumors. Maybe they're in, maybe they're out. Do you think he ends up going on loan regardless of where he ends up?
Yeah, I think he ends up going to the Championship.
Yeah, I think so. And at this point, if he's not going to get playing time, I think that's the best thing. I might disagree with Alex a little bit. I think, he could be being used in the Premier League right now, but it's not so much that I'm going to be offended. I would rather just see him playing somewhere than languishing on the bench or not even on the bench.
Yeah, playing for the U21s who have just been terrible this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone, I want to say maybe it was UT Villa on Twitter, pointed out that maybe part of the problem is the fact the Villa have loaned out a lot of their older players. So the U21 squad is one of the youngest U21 squads in that little league.
Yeah, I don't think that's a stretch at all. You look at the players who have been loaned out. Like if Callum Robinson and Grealish and who else? Daniel Johnson. If they were in Gary Gardner, even if they were all in that every week, I mean, obviously they'd be doing better than they've been doing now. But it's just the U21, so
Yeah, it wouldn't be harder for them to be better than they're doing because the U21, if it's possible, are worse than the senior side.
yeah, I think so. It's like in Football Manager when your assistant manager says, "Would you like the youth team to play similar to the senior squad?" And you say that would be preferable. No, I don't think it'd be preferable in this situation. Don't go out and score 0 goals and lose every time.
I'd like the youth team to play like a squad that actually knows what the hell they're doing. But thanks for the offer.
Yeah. Thanks for the offer, assistant manager. Go schedule the friendlies.
Yeah. So one rumor that popped up this week that I just really quickly want to debunk: Paul Allen buying Aston Villa. Did you have any thoughts on that?
So part owner of Seattle Sounders and also part owner of the Seahawks, or is he
The full owner of the
full
Seahawks.
owner of the Seahawks?
Yeah.
So two American teams that are pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounders are, one of the top 4 teams in the MLS, I think is pretty safe to say. And the Seahawks are in their second consecutive Super Bowl. They're good. But if you talk to people from Seattle, the ownership style that Allen represents with both clubs couldn't be more different. With the Seahawks, he's hands-on. He injects loads of cash, and then he lets the American football people do what they know how to do. And with the Sounders, we got one person saying he may have been to one match.
Yes, I mean that's still more hands-on than Randy Lerner. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking maybe if he bought the club and then he kind of gets the shiny new toy feel, maybe he'll show up to a couple matches. I mean, I don't really care if the owner's at the matches as long as they put in money.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure if he would, but I'm also not sure it's even worth us really talking about because this looks to be one of those rumors that's just total BS. It was
like Mark Cuban,
It was like the 7th paragraph in a notes column in the Daily Mail. It got a little steam when the Birmingham Mail picked it up, but if you actually followed their trail, they linked to a news aggregator who linked to a website that wrote about the story in the Daily Mail. And that's not slamming on the Birmingham Mail at all, because, that's all that was out there. That's what they could write on. It's slamming on this rumor. There's nothing to this. There's no indication that there's anything going to happen here.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe more wishful thinking than anything. People just hoping that Villa will find a new owner, and just everything that would bring.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it would be undeniably fantastic. But it's not going to be Paul Allen. I mean, I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong a month from now when Paul Allen buys this club, but all indications right now, there's no chance it's going to be Paul Allen.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Excuse me,
Yeah.
I was like yawning, but yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, I think everyone just wants a new owner, and obviously, understandably so. But it's really until we see a guy with a bunch of money show up at Villa Park, or someone sees his jet flying into BHX, I don't think really that there's a lot to that rumor.
Quick, get on Flight Tracker and track that tail number.
Yeah.
God, I kind of miss that. Remember the Halcyon days of when we were being sold and we thought we might go to the owners of KFC franchises in India? That
was an interesting couple days. Well, they have Pizza Hut also.
Duncan, I think.
Duncan, sorry.
Yeah, and it turned out that story was an entire hoax to begin with.
Yeah.
Yep, those were the days. So I don't know. I'm not sure if we're going to see Villa sold anytime soon. I noticed today in the Birmingham Mail, Stan Collymore was calling for Randy Lerner to drop the price below $100 million because it's for the good of the club, which is easy for Stan Collymore to say when he's not the guy losing out on £100 million.
Yeah, just throw away half your money because.
Yeah, it's for the good of the club, buddy. You've got plenty of money. Just throw it away. I mean,
Why? So someone who has no money could buy us and then not put any money into it?
exactly.
You
Well, I
know?
mean, God, it was a stupid, dunderheaded idea from Collymore that,
Gross.
showed that he's playing with someone else's money, very obviously.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I think realistically, if someone's gonna buy, they'd buy it maybe April or something, so they could get all their chips in line for the summer, and then get your new manager and then buy some new players because that's what you're gonna need to do. But
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, shall we move on to Bournemouth?
Yeah, might as well.
I think
The dreaded match in which a championship side is going to thrash Aston Villa,
yeah, I don't think any Villa fans are expecting to win this.
which is so strange.
But also, it's not strange.
No, it isn't because I'm in that group. I don't expect anything from Villa in this match, and I think that's so weird to me. We're playing
No,
a championship side. We
it
should
is
win.
weird, but
We're playing a
yeah,
championship side at Villa Park.
I think that's the problem. Maybe if we were traveling to
Away.
Bournemouth, then I mean we just can't win at Villa Park.
This might actually have replay written all over it.
It might, and that honestly, I don't know if that's the worst thing for the club because it gives more people a chance to play. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes Lambert in the past has talked about the distractions of the cup run, but I don't know. I think you want more squad players to get a 90 minutes here and there.
Yeah, Bournemouth. I mean, it would be so heartbreaking because if it's a replay, we all know it's gonna be 0-0.
3-1. Oh yeah, if it's a replay, the first leg will be 0-0.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so what you're gonna see is a valiant effort by the Villa defense against one of the most prolific scoring offenses in English football right now, and it's
yeah.
gonna go
Give
wasted.
us the stats on that, Robert.
Currently, Bournemouth in 27 matches have 57 goals for a rate of 2.11 goals per match. Which compares very favorably to Aston Villa and their zero point 0.5 goals a match. I figured it out. In other words, on a per match basis, Bournemouth are scoring 4.22 times more goals than Villa. So, if we hold them to 0, it will be a job very well done by the defense.
But on the
Heck,
other
if we
hand,
hold
they
them
probably
to
won't
1,
have too tough of a task to hold us to 0.
yeah, absolutely. My favorite stat from this whole FA Cup match is the fact that in their one trip to Birmingham this year, to play Birmingham, Bournemouth have scored more goals in the city of Birmingham than Villa have scored in Birmingham all year.
Yeah, to be fair, they had quite a good match against the Blues.
That's true. They ended up with, I want to say it was 8-1 or 7-1.
Yeah, I think it was 8 because I think how many goals do we have at home? 5.
Something like that. Yeah, Bournemouth 8, Birmingham 0.
Yep.
So, yeah, if we can hold them to 0 or 1 goal, that's a good effort by the defense. The question is, can the offense show up? If you're Paul Lambert, do you pick essentially a first 11?
I think you do. I think you have to. I mean, mostly because we don't have another game until next week, and I mean, midweek fixture. If it was a midweek fixture, like the Capital One Cup was yesterday, Liverpool Chelsea, and then you have another game at the weekend, maybe not. But with a week off, there's no reason not to. Maybe you get a couple players in there that you're trying to work. If you're trying to work Loughton, maybe at right back or Bakuna,
Shea Given gets the start.
I think Shea Given gets the start, and outside of that, I mean, yeah, you don't want to risk Guzan for an injury either, but.
Mm-mm. Do you give Carlos Hill the entire 90?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think you give him at least the second 45.
Yeah, I would give
I'm
him
not
the
sure.
start.
I'm not sure if he could do a full 90 in the Premier League, but.
Except this isn't really the Premier League. It's
Well, yeah, but.
FA Cup, and
Yeah, and I don't know if you want him to get kicked by the Fat Boys from the Championship, but then again, Bournemouth aren't really in that category. They're in first.
yeah, exactly. I think this is the match where you start heel. Work him, ease him in nicely. He got 30 great minutes against Liverpool. Now go out there and help us win an FA Cup match, become the local hero. God knows he's not going to score, but, create a chance for Benteke to score.
If anyone's going to score, it's going to be him.
Yeah, or Gabby to score, because Gabby, for some reason, shows up in the FA Cup.
Gabby's going to score 6.
And we end up losing 6-7?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. At least it'd be entertaining.
It would be entertaining, except for the fact that no one's going to be able to watch it.
Exactly. I was going to say entertaining for all the 0 people that see it on TV.
Yeah, Jack Woodward would just die, so...
Yeah, I know that would, that'd be entertaining for some people, but, yeah, I don't know. When do they start televising them? Semifinals or quarterfinals?
There's something like 4 matches that get televised from this round, but I think it's the quarterfinals that start getting televised.
So what? We'd have to win one more?
Yeah.
Whatever. Lambert doesn't care about the cups anyways.
Yeah, we're not going to see them play in an FA Cup. I don't know. I think you've got to start pretty much a first 11. I think you play Vyman instead of Gabby. I think you start.
You could play Vyman centrally. Maybe you give Benteke the rest and you bring him off the bench if we need a goal.
That could be. I really do think you give Heel the start. Maybe that's just new toy syndrome though, because I really just want to see what he can do.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you got to try to get him worked into the side, and I mean, really a garbage match that means nothing.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Because there's no one that thinks we're actually going to make a legitimate cup run, right?
Yeah, I don't think so, unless we can't get Blight Spartans in the next round, unfortunately.
Sadly not. And even, so this is a match where you go out and you try some things. If you lose it, if you win it, great. I just don't think this is a team that has a cup run in them, so I don't think it's really worth worrying about too much.
No,
do you see Villa actually winning this by any chance?
No, I think you're right. I think it's going to be a replay.
0-0 or 1-1?
I don't know.
I refuse to accept the possibility that we could have it 2-2.
I'm going to go 2-2 then.
Just to spite me. And watch you be right. Or better yet, it'll be a 3-3 replay, and we'll just hate everything.
That would suck, because I would just love to watch a 3-3. That would just be, it'd just be too unbelievable. That's why they didn't show it, but...
It didn't actually happen that way. People at the game were paid off to tell us that it was 3-3.
Yeah, it was just an inside joke. We really lost 6-0, or just 0-0.
I'm going to go ahead and say 0-0 with the replay at Bournemouth, and we end up losing that probably.
Yeah, 2-1, or to lose the replay 2-1 probably, but...
Yeah, I have no confidence in this match. And then after that, we've got another tough Premier League match. We need a little miracle here. We need to pull out a couple of wins that we're not expecting.
I think so. So, I mean, Arsenal, and then Chelsea, but then we have an easier stretch. It's going to be Hull, Stoke, and Newcastle, West Brom, Sunderland, and Swansea before we play Manchester United. So if Villa can find some form before that stretch, that could be the stretch that saves the season, really.
Yeah, absolutely. We just said that about the 3-match stretch after Christmas there, but they need to do something here. Pull out a win against Arsenal or Chelsea. Shock the crap out of us.
If you get 3 points from those 2 games, I think that's incredible. I think 1 would be good, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Get 3 people red carded for Chelsea again.
Yeah.
Just
Chelsea play City the match before, so
maybe they'll be really tired.
Yeah, or just
Maybe Jose will get up earlier this time and just leave after the 5th minute, and then his team will have no idea what to do.
Maybe.
God,
very much thinking, but
that's the thing. Adam and I talked about this last week. Villa usually have 1 or 2 shockers in them.
And they do, and they come at the most random of times. But
when we don't expect them, and they always save Paul Lambert. So, God, maybe we can expect something. But for this weekend against Bournemouth, I I think we're all going to be glad that we couldn't watch it.
Yeah, don't keep your fingers crossed for anything, but
Yeah.
um, I mean, that's all we have this week. So remember, we're still on Blog Talk Radio, Stitcher, iTunes, and YouTube as well. So be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next week on the Holtecast. For Robert Lintott, I've been Jack Grimsey. Keep checking 7500 Holt for all your Villa needs.